ذريتهم وما ألتناهم من عملهم من شيء كل امرئ بما كسب رهين.
And those who believed and whose descendants followed them in faith, we will join with them their descendants, and we will not deprive them of anything of their deeds. Every person, for what he earned, is retained.
Parenting is not just about telling your children what's right, it's about showing them. Join us every Wednesday between 9 and 10 a.m. for Love Your Kids, a heartfelt and honest series on Islamic parenting, building strong bonds with your children and creating homes where tough conversations are welcome and love is the foundation. We'll explore how to raise children in line with Islamic values, what it means to lead by example, how to open communication between parents and kids, tackling hard topics with compassion and honesty. Whether you're a parent, guardian, or mentor, this show is for you. Because our children don't follow what we say, they follow what we do. Love Your Kids only on Radio Islam International, Wednesdays 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Don't miss it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We welcome you to the airwaves of Radio Islam International. 12 minutes past the hour of 9. My name is Ahmad Raja. I am sitting in for Maulana Muhammad Bam on the program, and we welcome you to the airwaves of Radio Islam International. This is a very interesting program. The series that has been going on has been very, very, very informative, and it has been very educational as well. And the guest on the program is Maulana Zahir Ahmad Ragi. Maulana has done a fundamental job as far as not just this program is concerned, but this particular series that Maulana has been going through, and all the other programs Wednesday between the hour of 9 and 10. Many listeners tune in specifically for this program. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward Maulana in abundance. The amount of preparations that goes, in just starting off the discussion, in choosing a topic, what will be suitable for the listeners, what will be of value to the listeners, what will be of current issues that impacts our listeners. There's a lot of time and effort that Maulana puts in just in choosing a topic and then breaking it down, simplifying it, making it easy. And you'll notice that in each and every program that Maulana conducts, he always brings the most profound, the most current, the most beautiful examples, simplified exactly to the topic that Maulana has chosen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has really blessed and granted Maulana this beautiful ability where Maulana has command of the language. Maulana makes great amount of preparations in these programs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward Maulana. Let's welcome Maulana to the program. Mazir Ahmad Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Again, I have the honor.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Maulana, jazakumullah for that. We also greet all our listeners on Radio Islam, Radio Al Ansar, and Ummahat platform. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. But before you continue, Maulana, yes, it's an honor for me to be with you. But the long intro, honestly, it's of no... I'm humbled, but I make dua that Allah give me sincerity and all the praises. May Allah make them worthy of what you have said, inshallah.
From our side, Maulana, we know they certainly are. As you said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala crown it with divine acceptance in His divine cause. So the series that is currently playing, it is, the topic and the title of the larger series is Love Your Kids. We're currently busy with season 4, and this is now episode 6 that is going on. The current focus is on building a strong foundation. So the first part that Maulana will tackle for the first part of this program is, Maulana has discussed already that, parents are only one of the many influences on their children, albeit they are a very important influence, but they're one of them. How do we negotiate this challenge that parents have to go through? So Maulana mentioned some of these challenges, and today we're going to continue with that discussion.
Inshallah. Ji Maulana. So we've mentioned some of the challenges and some of the influences in the past. And we continue because we could not complete all the types of challenges that we as parents have to manage. So one of them that we're going to discuss today is parenting is a skill. And it's a skill that requires good management of resources. It's a skill, and we also require management of resources that are at our disposal. So, as we have mentioned that it's one of the many influences, so it may be possible for you to hire an accountant to take care of your family finances. It's also possible that you may take and hire a tutor to take care of your education of your children. And you may also hire a nurse to take care of the health issues of yourself and your children. However, the crucial task of family management is not something that we delegate. It's not something that we can delegate. If the parents cannot manage the family, no one else can, and no one else will. So family management requires us as parents the need to allocate our love, our affection, our time, and our attention. So if we need to manage our family, and as we've just mentioned, it's not possible to outsource the management of your family. Everything else, accountant, educator, nurse, these things we can outsource. But the most important aspect of managing my family, it's something that we do not outsource. And if we as parents are unable to manage the important task of parenting, no one else is going to do it for us. And it requires a lot of love, it requires our affection, it requires our time, and it requires our attention. And this is an inseparable part of parenthood, which has to be done by parents themselves. One need only to look at, for example, the Marxist experiments in the Soviet Russia, in which people, other than the natural parents or family members, took over the parenting task. The same was tried earlier by the Spartans in Greece. And the result of outsourcing parenting was a colossal failure for the children concerned. So good management of your time, good management of the resources becomes even more important. For example, single parent families who have to juggle a more intense schedule than those with two parents. And unfortunately, we are observing an increase of single parenthood. So the challenges that we are talking of today, in the process of building a strong family foundation, is that it's a skill. It requires us to manage our resources. And it's most important for today as we commence, it is a skill, it is a responsibility that if we outsource it to someone other than the actual parent, the results can be extremely colossally dangerous. Together with that, we also need to consider that the type of environment that our children growing up today, children's perception of their parents may be totally opposite of what their parents intend. So as a parent, I may intend something for my child, but my child's perception of me as a parent may be totally opposite of what I as a parent intend. And children may interpret parents' help as interference. And we're seeing this, we are observing this more and more, that more and more due to the type of educational systems that we are enrolling our children into due to the media, social media, due to the various programs that our children watch on television. We find that this culture in children is growing day by day, that many children interpret parents' help or interpret the process of parenting by parents as interference. Their concern, the parents' concern, and the parents' love is interpreted as babying, that I'm a grown up. I don't need you to baby me. And many a times, many a children would regard the advice of parents to them as, business. Although reality is important, for children, perception is reality. So the perception that children may look at your parenting as babying, interference, minding their business, that's a perception. But unfortunately, that perception becomes a reality. And a reality is important. And for children, perception is reality. That is why it is important to ask children about their thoughts, about their feelings, about their reactions. So when we discuss with children, we need to be able to have these very open, very transparent discussions. And it's important that we ask them about their thoughts, their feelings, their reactions. And their thoughts, feelings, and reactions that we may ask about will provide us a reality of their perceptions. Ask your children, did you like what I did for you? Example, the mother cooked the meal. The father went out to earn. And in the process, when we advise children regarding some of their affairs, they look at that as interference. So sometimes it's good to, while talking about the thoughts and feelings of children, just to do an exercise. Did you like what I did for you, that I cooked this meal for you? Did you like that this morning I got up and I sat in traffic just to go and earn some money, some sustenance, some rosy, so that I can put food on the table, to buy you the clothing that you are wearing? These types of discussions are sometimes extremely beneficial so that children understand the reality and the effort that goes into parenting. Maulana, whenever you want to come in, please do come in. Sometimes, when I start talking, I don't give others a chance, unfortunately. So whenever you want to come in, please do come in and share with me. And even as our listeners may want to, by all means.
Jazakallah so much for that, Maulana. But we really enjoy the program. The listeners, I'm sure they'll echo the same sentiments from myself. We really enjoy the advice. For the listeners, if there's anything that you want to inquire, if there's any comments that you want to send, the line is open, 072-786-1548. That's the WhatsApp number, studio WhatsApp number, 072-786-1548. You can send your comments through and we will read them out. But alhamdulillah, we are enjoying the advice that Maulana is giving.
So we're talking about, asking them about their thoughts, etc. However, we need to know what to tell children and when to tell them. That's also important. That's a skill that is required by parents. Know what to tell your children, know when to tell your children, know how to tell your children. Adults and children may draw different lessons from the same story. You have one story, ask an adult to give you the lesson they have learned from that story. It might be totally different from the lesson a child draws from the same story. So as parents, it's a skill. We need to have the skill as to what to tell our children, when to say something, how to say those things. In addition, it is extremely tempting for parents to take advantage of children's innocence, to take advantage of children's ignorance to effect an outcome which makes the parent's life easier. So, for example, let me give you an example. Sometimes examples provide us a beautiful understanding of what we are discussing, what to say, how to say, when to say. So let's just take children are eating pomegranates, for instance. Some parents tell them, eat up all the seeds without leaving a single one on your clothes or on the furniture. Make sure you eat all of them and make sure you don't mess your clothes to avoid stains difficult to remove later on. Now, instead of sticking to the facts, however, and to ensure the children's full cooperation, some parents resort to embellishment. They tell children that each pomegranate contains, subhanallah, a special seed from Jannah, so that the children will then keenly eat every single seed so as to not miss the special gift of the blessed one. So instead of just saying, make sure you eat all of them and don't mess, you turn the whole story around that each seed is from Jannah, subhanallah. And each seed has a blessing. And if you eat each seed, you are actually eating the blessings of Jannah. Now, understand how the different stories would have an impact on the child. Similarly, in many homes, rice grains were cleaned and washed in the past to ensure that no rice was wasted in the process. Mothers would tell their daughters to be very careful not to lose any grains, because among them was one special one from Jannah. Now, these are useful and clever tricks employed by parents to save time and money for themselves, as well as to teach children discipline, teaching children cleanliness, teaching children responsibility. However, parents must be careful to explain to children at the right age of discernment, at the right age, when the right age is reached. And then in accordance to the maturity, the development, the intellectual development of the child, a story will have its different effects. Now, parents must be careful that we explain to our children, once the age of discernment is reached, that these were nothing more than myths, thus clearing their minds of any superstition. Because in our culture, and in every culture, there is prevalence of these superstitious thoughts, myths, and it must not happen that these myths and stories and superstitions are becoming part of the development of the child, which can have a negative impact at the wrong time. Inadvertently instilling wrong concepts in children. Now, some well-intentioned parents describe the following incidents. I will just give you some examples. Okay. And with these examples, you understand sometimes, and it just touches the nerve that, yes, I can resonate with that example. When Salim refused to enter the bathroom at kindergarten, child, Zaid, Abu Bakr, Fatima, whoever it is, they go to the kindergarten, and a teacher, because we were involved in Muslim schools, and sometimes we learn from the stories that teachers tell us, and sometimes these stories just remain in our minds. So Salim refused to enter the bathroom when he was at kindergarten. And the teacher asked him why. And he said, My parents told me that the toilets are inhabited by jinns and shaitan, and I'm scared to be alone with them. So we mentioned to the child that the bathrooms are inhabited by jinns, but we have not explained to the child at its right age the approach that Islam adapts in the du'as that we make and how Allah Ta'ala protects us. But just the bathrooms are inhabited by jinns. So it had an impact on the child when the child was at kindergarten, who refused to go to the bathroom. Another example, a young boy was puzzled. He had been told that angels did not enter bathrooms. So the opposite of the first one. Yet he had also been told that two angels are always looking over his shoulders to record all his deeds. Now, would the two angels then go into the bathroom with him? He could not figure it out. So the point I'm making is that when we give these types of discussions and have these types of discussions with our children, understand that these have to be said at a time when the child is of the right age, so he is able to comprehend the message that we wish to give them. Some parents, for example, and we see this often, give wrong explanation to children as to why pork is forbidden. I don't know, Moana, maybe some of the listeners can resonate with this. When children are small, sometimes we see a pig and we read Astaghfirullah.
True.
Children extrapolate that pigs are to be hated and treated with cruelty. Parents fail to explain that every creation of Allah Ta'ala, all animals, are beautiful creations of Allah. However, some are not good to eat. All are created for a purpose, and we have to be kind to all animals. Again, some overzealous and well-intentioned parents sometimes convey the wrong message of hating people who commit mistakes. Some overzealous and perhaps well-intentioned parents do convey a wrong message of hating people who commit mistakes. And they do not differentiate between the bad action and the person committing that bad action. Hence, for example, and I'm giving you this example, an example that we might see regularly. Hence, they hate smokers as well as smoking. This causes children to hate people instead of loving them and trying to correct their mistakes. The result is that children may come to think that they are superior to others, and it can result in children becoming arrogant, looking down upon people. Now, these are various examples that I wish to, and that I'm presenting and sharing. Listeners can agree or disagree, but these are just thoughts in the mind that how we should be extremely careful as to what we say, how we say, when we say. And then the challenge of creating a positive self-image in my child. This is a challenge. Our children must have a positive self-image. But in creating that, it's also a challenge. It is a challenge because this challenge of creating a positive self-image many a times is surrounded by myths of the beautiful body promoted by fashion magazines, promoted by health magazines. You know, Bollywood, Hollywood, the glamorous pop stars. Children, and in particular teenage girls, can easily fall into the trap of eating disorders or an overly vain desire for makeup and clothes. This inflated concern with regards to my appearance is also fueled by the commercial media, advertising, whose message is thin is beautiful. And we see this in many of our young girls. For children, the transition, and this is something that as parents we need to be absolutely cognizant of. For children, the transition from innocent childhood to mimicking adult life is coming at a younger age, and along with all the attendant insecurities of not realizing the ideal perfection demanded. And this puts a tremendous strain on parents who want their children to enjoy their childhood. The importance of instilling sound moral values, the importance of instilling confidence, the importance of instilling good character. These instilling moral values, confidence, good character, therefore becomes ever more vital. And parents need to be aware of the corruption and the premature sexualization of children that is a result of consumerism, that is a result of the advertising industry, that is a result of the various movies and televisions and pop star culture. And children's sense of fulfillment has to come. Children's sense of fulfillment cannot come from the media, from all these outside influences, but the children's fulfillment has to come from community attachments. Our attachment to our community, our children's attachment to the community we live in. It has to come from communication, proper communication. It has to come from proper family bonds, instead of from the false sources of fulfillment, which is championed by the media, which is championed by money, which is championed by power, by fame. So this brings us to the end of this discussion of building a strong foundation, under which we discussed that the parent is not the only influence in developing the child. There are so many other challenges that we experience, that we ourselves as parents and our children are faced with. And therefore, the proper management of our time, of our love, of our affection, of our communication with our children is paramount. And this is not something that we can outsource. It is something that we have to do ourselves in our homes and have the right approach in performing this amana that Allah Ta'ala has placed on our shoulders.
SubhanAllah, that is very, very, very correct. Jazakallah so much to Maulana. Very, very, very beautiful and very pertinent advices that Maulana has shared with us. It is actually a continuation from the discussion that actually commenced last week, and the discussion is all about parents being one of the many influences on their children. And Maulana gave very, very beautiful, very, very pertinent advices, very practical methods that we see prevalent in today's time of how parents are actually an influence on their children. Children mimic and children copy exactly what their parents do. You'll see children will they'll talk in the way that their parents do. They'll talk in the tone that their parents do. They'll talk, the amount of respect that their parents do. The actions will be a mimic. It will be an example of exactly the way their parents are, from walking to talking to behavior in every aspect. That is why it is very, very important that we have to be the perfect and try to be the perfect example for our parents. It's, ulama give the example, if a father is sitting on a weekend and he's sitting and watching his sports, and he tells his son, there's the adhan going, go to the masjid. The child is not going to go. That father has to get himself up, and he's got to tell the child, come, we're going together to the masjid. Then you'll see how the child will love going to the masjid. Children mimic their parents, and therefore we are a great influence on our children. We have to make sure that we are the right influence on our children. Mal, there's some messages coming through. We'll just read through some of them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abba Zainab says, Subhanallah, always enjoy hearing Maulana Ragi. Salams, Maulana, I totally agree. I'm a grandmother. When we grew up, we never questioned our parents. It made us feel it's disrespect. In today's generation, when kids question parents, they need to explain. As grandparents, we are also learning. Today's kids have a voice. Another message, Assalamu alaikum, Jazakallah for the beautiful topics, Maulana. The key role player are the parents. So those are some of the comments coming through. Maulana, Jazakallah so much for all this beautiful advice that Maulana has given.
Ji Maulana. So some examples of some pertinent advices that were given by various people that I can share or will share that we as parents can really take lessons from. Firstly, set the right priorities. So this is basically the conclusion of the discussion that we had 2 weeks ago and today. So set the right priorities. And how do parents teach their children to set priorities? Firstly, we have to set the right priority. And then we need to know how do we teach the children to set the right priorities. So as parents, it does not matter what we know if we do not know what matters. It does not matter what we know if we do not know what matters. If we forget the ultimate, which is Allah, and if we forget the ultimate, which is our deen, then we become slaves to the immediate. So set the right priorities. Do not become slave of the immediate pleasure. Do not forget that the ultimate goal for us as parents is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second lesson, second example, relationship is more important than rules. Relationship is far more important than rules. The rule is a rule. So the rule of rules is highlight a few important, relevant, simple, and transforming rules. Highlight for yourself a few important, relevant, transforming rules. And we spoke about this, the love of Allah, the love of the Quran, the love of dua, the habits of adhkar. We spoke about all of that in the past. So rules are not bad, yet they change behavior from the outside inside rather than from the inside outward. So keep this in mind. We may set rules in our homes, and sometimes certain parents, in their eagerness and the zeal of having good disciplined children, will set rules. And rules are not bad, but they change behavior from the outside inside rather than from inside outward. So love changes the heart. Love motivates a person. Build that relationship with your children. Thereafter, that relationship that you've built of love, affection, can easily be transformed into them accepting the discipline and the rules that you have. If you just have rules, they are dry, they are cold. If there's no love and affection with the rules, those rules will not have any positive impact on the development of your children. It is also important that parents internalize themselves before instilling them into their children. So if you set a particular rule, internalize that rule within yourselves before you instill those rules onto your children. And these words have to be part of the parents before they can be part of the children. The rule that you want to establish in your home has to be part of you as a parent before you want that to be part of your child. After eating your meal, the father, if he does not pick up his plate and take it to the sink, and then sets the rule, pick up your plate, take it to the sink, that rule is not going to have that impact. Parents cannot give away what they do not have. You have to have the discipline in yourself before you want to provide that discipline to your children. So parents cannot give away what they do not have. So there should be practice what they preach. If it does not work at home, they should not try to export it to someone else. These are some just thoughts that I'm sharing for us to think that when we set rules, how is it that we are setting the rules? It is not the quantity of time that matters. It is not the quantity of time that matters, but the quantity of quality time. So you spend a lot of time, but if the time is not quality time, it's of no benefit. So it's not the quantity of time that matters, but it's the quantity of quality time that matters. Parents should welcome teachable moments, I call it. Parents, we should welcome teachable moments and plan for them when they do not come naturally. Parents are prone to give their children everything except the one thing they need most, and that is time. Unfortunately, due to consumerism and various demands and social demands, our society has become work-orientated and not family-orientated. We need to change that. The issue is not prioritizing our schedule, but scheduling our priorities. It's not prioritizing our schedule, but it's rather scheduling our priorities. Talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. These are moments that are, crucial. Use those moments that you have to spend that quality time. The issue, as I said, is not prioritizing our schedule, but scheduling our priorities. And what is very, very worth remembering and is worth repeating, parents, we should verbalize, emphasize, repeat, and articulate values. Verbalize the value, emphasize the values, repeat the values, continuously articulate the values, be precise, be concise, and most importantly, be simple. Show and tell. We do in school nowadays, show and tell. So parents can introduce their children to relatives, to leaders, to imams, to ulama, to guests who embody the values that they are teaching. You want to teach a particular value to your child. Use the concept of show and tell. Introduce your children to those relatives that perform those good moral habits. The leaders in the community, the ulama, your teacher, the guests that come home, who embody the values that they are teaching. In conclusion, in spite of all the challenges, however, my beloved brothers, sisters, parents, despite all these challenges that we have spoken of, parenting is beautiful. Parenting is enjoyable. And also, Parenting is doable and it's full of its own rewards for both parents. The challenges are many. There are bad peer influences. There is just an overwhelming, invitation towards sex, immorality in the media. There is so much of miscommunication. There is so much of mismanagement outside in our communities. The misconceptions and the pitfalls and the myths are numerous. And inshallah, in our next discussion, it's where we are going to be talking about the misconceptions, the pitfalls, the myths. Inshallah, in our future discussions, we're going to have that. So in conclusion again, we stressed that raising a good child has wider repercussions than simply the parent's own space of mind and a happy home life. Raising a good child has a wide repercussions. It's not simply the parent's own space. It's not simply my own peace. It's not simply my own happy home life. Parenting is a major building block of society. It's a major building block of building a civilization. And alhamdulillah, through the process since the time that we commenced, in the beginning of this year, where we commenced with the stories of great mothers, we outlined the importance of having a goal, and we detailed some of the major challenges that parents should be aware of. Insha'Allah, as we go along now, we will focus on debunking some commonly held assumptions about effective parenting in our future discussions. And we will be highlighting some of the pitfalls that we as parents sometimes fall into. And we will also show how to avoid those pitfalls. We will also debunk some commonly held myths. We will do this because a good parenting plan, although it makes parenting easier, it is incomplete if it cannot guide parents over some of the potential stumbling blocks that we as parents experience. And inshallah, as we say, Maulana, watch the space. That's our future discussions, inshallah. With those two words, we conclude today, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah so much for that, Ma. Somebody asked, please share that wording about scheduling.
The wording about scheduling. Yes, Maulana, I have this problem about, when we talk about certain things and then we forget where we set those things. Just trying to recall. Our society is work-orientated. I think that's what I said, and not family-orientated. The issue is not prioritizing our schedule, but rather scheduling our priorities. It's not prioritizing our schedules, but scheduling our priorities.
Subhanallah. Profound. Jazakallah, Ma. Jazakallah so much for that. As Mara said, the future, the coming discussions will continue with this amazing topic that Maulana has commenced. Ma, Jazakallah so much for your time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you in abundance.
Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was Maulana